Hi everybody, welcome back. It is September, which means I'm going to do another favourites video. Just so happens that in June and July didn't really have that many physical things to show you. I went to plenty of shows, which I am going to talk about, but I thought I'll leave it a month to see what's going on, and I have got quite a few physical things to show you in this video, which is great, so let's jump straight into it. And the first thing I usually talk about is books. Now, I haven't got any new books, but I have read a few. Perhaps what I'm going to do in that case is, rather than talk about the books, because I've already kind of shown them in a video, is maybe do another video in a month's time about the actual books themselves. So why don't we go straight ahead into the West End shows that I've been and saw. The first one I'm going to tell you about is called Suki Webster's Guest Speaker, which is actually a comedy improvisation kind of show. It was at the Museum of Comedy, which is like in the undercroft of a church. This is London. Find anywhere you can to put stuff on. The one I went to see had not just Suki Webster, but some of the Comedy Store players there, and also Paul Merton, who is a very famous improvisation actor. So you might know him from Have I Got News For You, or Just a Minute. If you've never been to an improvisation evening before, you get told to shout out ideas at certain points in the show, and they take those ideas on and try and improvise comedy around it. At the end of the evening, we were told to take photos of them, and I was actually in like the second row. I don't understand this, especially at comedy shows. If you don't want to go and sit in the front row, fine, but people don't sit near the front. They kind of sit 3/4 of the way back. It's really weird. So when I walk in, and I'm nowhere near the first in the queue, I went and sat in the second row because there weren't anybody sat there, and I had a great view. So at the end of the show, they all lined up and we were told to take photos. So here's mine. It's the Museum of Comedy in Holborn area of London, so check it out. The next thing I went to see was a play called Killer Joe. It was at the Trafalgar Studios. It's a play about a murder, basically. Somebody's trying to get the insurance money for their mother's death, and so of course they can't go and murder them. They have to hire somebody to do it. So the idea is that you hire Killer Joe. Killer Joe is actually a detective in the police department. So this is like in the south of America. Although that is the main plot of the show, the subtext is Killer Joe and a girl, sister of the person who's trying to get their mother killed. And because they can't pay, then they use her as payment, as it were. And the idea is that when they get the insurance money, then they can pay for the contract killing out of that insurance money, and everything's fine after that. I'm not going to go into it too deeply because you might want to go and see the play, but basically the money's not forthcoming, so the girl is going to be taken by Joe, and then, well, the ending is something which you'll have to go and see the play if you want to know. It's no longer running at Trafalgar Studios, but I wouldn't be surprised if it turns up at some point. It had Orlando Bloom in it. I didn't really go to see it for Orlando Bloom, but there you go. I think the big draw was that he had his bare backside towards the audience at one point. Well, the draw for around half the audience, maybe a bit more. So that was in the West End, and the next show I'm going to tell you about kind of wasn't in the West End, although it is in Victoria, which is pretty close to the West End, and it was Heathers. So I went to see Heathers at the Other Palace. The Other Palace is technically not a West End theatre, you see, even though it's closer to the West End than some of the West End theatres that do call. Anyway, Heathers is about a high school in America called Westerberg, and it's about a girl called, not Heather, called Veronica, who wants to be one of the Heathers. There's 3 Heathers, and they are like, they kind of rule the school. And she, by forging a hall pass, manages to get in with these 3 girls, and she becomes one of the Heathers, as it were, even though she's called Veronica, and the 3 girls are called Heather. But Veronica falls in love with one of the guys at school called JD, and he has a murderous tendency. And he ends up murdering Heather Chandler, who's like the actual big boss of the Heathers, and Veronica is implicated because she was there at the time and actually did give her the poison, as it was, that she drank to die. As the show goes on, more and more characters are murdered, actually by JD, but implicated with Veronica. It's not your happy clappy musical, although it is very, very upbeat and absolutely fantastically performed. Now, it only had a limited run at the other palace, but it is going to be transferring to the Theatre Royal Haymarket, and it actually starts tomorrow as I'm recording this, so when you see it, it will have just started its 12-week run at the Theatre Royal Haymarket. So it stars Carrie Hope Fletcher, may have heard her, photos over there, just there. And Carrie's actually on stage for, I would say, everything apart from one song. I believe that is the case. Everything apart from one song in the entire production. So she's on relentlessly. Now at the other palace there's no stage door, but people obviously want to meet the cast, so what they do is they organise a kind of signing. They've got some tables out in the foyer at the end of the show, and you come around and you queue up, and you know, you've probably got a programme anyway, so you have your programme signed. So mine's signed by all sorts of people. We've got, that's the musical director there. There's Ms Fleming, who's one of the teachers and also plays Veronica's mum for a short time as well. So these are the Heathers themselves. We've got Sophie Isaacs, we've got Tashawn Williams, and we've got Jodie Steele, and Jamie Moscato is plays JD. The star of the show and takes up an entire page is Carrie herself. Now the run at the other palace was actually sold out before the run started. I had to get a return ticket on the day. But the good news is I do believe that tickets are available at the Haymarket because it's a bigger theatre. So I absolutely recommend it. It's a relentlessly great show, and it's not your usual musical in the West End. So go and see it, why not? On to things that I actually bought in the last couple of months. So this, not the camera on top, but the this is called a GorillaPod. This is what I bought so I could use my vlogging camera in like Edinburgh and things like that. And actually it's fantastic. It enabled me to do so much more than, because it's really hard to just carry that around and look inconspicuous. Well, you've got this, you actually look so much more professional and people leave you alone. It's weird. I picked it up on Amazon, links in the description below. They're not the cheapest of things, it's like 25 quid or something like that, but they're so versatile. You know, you can just do anything you like with them. You can attach them to a tree, you can stand them up like a normal tripod, or you can just hang on to it, you know, and vlog like this. It's absolutely great. I recommend it if you need something to vlog with. And last but certainly not least for this month, I have some things which I bought at Some in the City. Now, most of you watching this video know Hannah Witton. I'm one of her Patreons, and we had a little meet-up, me and a few other people with Hannah, and she had some merch to sell, obviously, there. Now, firstly, I got this notebook. I need notebooks to write down my video ideas and do research and things like that, and notes and things like that. So I got this notebook, and we've got a slogan on it, which I don't know if you can read that. It says, "When life gives you lemons, sell lemonade." Links in the description. But the pièce de résistance of this particular favourites video has got to be this. So this is obviously Hannah. This is a shoot that she did with Linda Blacker very recently, and it's because of this thing down here, which is her stoma. Well, that's her stoma bag. So if you don't know, she was recently in hospital because she had ulcerative colitis and she had her entire colon removed. And this shoot was to show how beautiful people are, even who have ileostomies like Hannah has. And I think it's pretty great. And not only is it great and hung on my wall, look, Hannah signed it. Really is my new favourite thing. It hangs on the wall behind me, and she looks great, doesn't she? Ironically, the first girl I've ever had on my wall in her knickers. So I hope you enjoyed the favourites video for this month. If you like the video, then do remember to give it a thumbs up. You can do that just down below. I make videos every single week. That's a really good reason to subscribe so you don't miss a thing. Thanks for watching, and I shall see you next time. Bye-bye.